Hello everyone. Salam alaikum everyone. Very, very honored and happy to be with you today. I'm Sofiane Ben Ali. I'm the person leading our EMEA effort when it comes to building our partner ecosystem. And I'm very, very honored to be with you today for the second half of our event. And I'm also super happy to offer you the voice of some of our most strategic partners, not only in the region, but globally. I'm taking advantage of this session to thank all our partners who are making it happen in the region every day, and in particular our sponsors, partner of the day, with whom you are having, I can see that all day, a valuable conversation about what you are doing, what you are aiming to do regarding AI and GenAI. So talking about valuable speakers, we are excited to offer you the voice of three absolutely critical partners for us, and represented by three highly talented professionals. So I've named Richard Wiley, who is leading the Databricks effort in the Middle East and Israel region. We have Nader Paslar, representing Code81 and his general manager. And we have Matin Jouzdani, partner at KPMG, covering data analytics and AI for lower golf. So please join me welcoming them on stage. Thank you, the three of you. So I'm sure you have seen and heard about that today, since June. Dataiku is a leader named by Magic Quadrant in the data science and machine learning section. But I'm sure you have noticed that Dataiku, this nice little bird, is not alone in this section. We have the privilege to be in a very good company with some of the most influential organizations of this sector and probably of the planet. I've named Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Databricks, and I'll come back on Databricks. And I'm sure also you have notified that Gartner awarded our vision and the completeness of our vision. But I can tell you one thing, without partners like KPMG or Code81, we can't have that AI vision becoming a reality in place. So hence, the absolute need for us to offer you their voice and their perspective about AI and GenAI. So coming back to Databricks, and I'll start with you, Richard. So outside of being an AI leader, we are partnering with you, but your company is also known for being a data leader before everything, and you are clearly leading the pack from a data platform perspective. And I'll start with you because everyone is talking about GenAI, and especially for the last 18 months and the democratization that has followed the ChatGPT effect. But how do you at Databricks guide your customers in this GenAI hype, making sure that customers, organizations, they are not forgetting critical pieces, not forgetting the foundations?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think everyone in this room has probably, at some point in the last 6 to 12 months, been put under pressure to do something around GenAI incredibly quickly. And Databricks has done the same. We've embedded GenAI capabilities into our platform. And there's some nice, easy, quick wins with pre-trained models, like GPT, where we've embedded those models from OpenAI in our platform. So you could ask a question using natural language in Arabic, for example, where the OpenAI model will translate that into English, where our platform will then convert that into SQL code and give you an immediate result in the platform. So there's some really nice, easy, quick wins for Databricks and our customers with those pre-trained models. However, the real value from GenAI and AI in general is going to come when you can leverage your own data, your own proprietary enterprise data, and then take those foundational models, those open source models like Falcon and Mistral, or proprietary models like GPT, and tune those with your own data. And to be able to do that, you have to have your data managed and governed effectively within the organization. And what Databricks has been doing here in the Middle East for a number of years now is helping organizations where that data is in multiple different silos, in data lakes, in data warehouses, in data marts scattered around the organization, on-premise and in the cloud, manage that in one single repository, one single data lakehouse in the cloud to enable organizations to then govern and secure that data and then accelerate the ability to leverage amazing tools like Dataiku to accelerate that Gen AI journey with much, much higher value models built on your own data. I think, just quickly, the best quote I got from a customer was, my 80-year-old mother uses ChatGPT, so where's the competitive value for our organization? And the competitive value is going to come when you can use your own data as an enterprise, to go to that next level of maturity with generative AI.
Thanks, Richard. I love your quote, and yeah, you understand no data, no AI. And turning to you, Nader, as one of these organizations, as I mentioned, making AI a reality for our customers and prospects, you are in front line to see that everyone wants AI, but not everyone is ready. What are the risks you are seeing from your perspective, and how do you guide your customer to kickstart their AI journey?
Thanks, Sofiane. I think I'll echo a lot of what Richard actually said. A lot of clients will want AI but aren't necessarily ready. At Code81, we tend to help clients starting from strategy all the way to execution. And that kind of means that we have to ensure that the data governance is in place, the data quality is there, that they've actually have clean data and they're able to translate that to business value. A lot of times we'll find that clients will say, no, here's a request for proposal for an RFP for GenAI or an AI use case. And they'll have said that we want Dataiku as a platform, and then what we will come to realize is they don't have their data lake in place, they don't have that proper data architecture in place. So it's a risk because we then are losing time and have to go back into time and help them, guide them to making sure that the data governance is in place, that AI governance is in place, to help them with their journey so they can actually properly utilize and leverage the machine learning and data science platform to create that business value.
Great, thanks, Nader. And Martin, moving to you, representing a world-leading consulting company, I'm sure data governance is a key pillar you are guiding your customer to ensure they can start from a clean plate. But would you please tell us more about that from your perspective and how you experience that with your customer on the field?
Yeah, I mean, thank you. So what's really interesting, there's so much that's new about what's going on in GenAI now from the technology. I mean, what we were just listening to about LLM mesh, look, you can't argue that this stuff is new in many ways. But at the same time, there are some things that are not new. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years now, and I remember all of us getting very, very excited about data science and advanced analytics. But then we concluded that reporting was super important. Actually being able to clearly communicate KPIs was actually super important. Then we all got carried away by big data and NoSQL before we realized actually organizing our data was essential. And here again, we are getting rightly very excited about AI, but just like my colleagues have said, data governance is coming back into focus. And so in some ways, the data scientist in me is super excited about the new use cases and value we'll create. The consultant in me is also pretty excited that data governance is going to get back on the agenda, or even more important, on the agenda. Are we correctly organized for AI? Do we have the right operating model? And at the risk of sounding boring, do we have the right policies and procedures and governance to make sure that we have trusted data? And I think that is the platform where, once we have that foundation in place, especially here in the UAE, the sky is the limit in terms of what we can achieve with AI.
I agree. Thanks, Martin. And staying with you, you have this very nice and interesting concept of client zero, and I really like it. Would you please tell our audience more about it, what it means for you, and how you put that in practice?
Indeed. I sometimes misspeak and call it patient zero, and I'm getting in the wrong sense. But we have this concept inside KPMG of let's treat ourselves as client zero. It's an added responsibility as a consultant, right? We don't want to just be talking abstractly, which means that we as an organization are looking at how can we use AI to reinvent what we do, right? There's a whole side of our business that is about audit and tax services, but how do we start embedding that technology into our services? We were fortunate as an organization to be one of the first given access to Copilot and technologies like this. So the first thing we did was assess what can we do with our own productivity as a workforce, and we got a lot of learnings from that. And also, each one of our countries is building internal productivity solutions. So, within our own team now, we have an AI that can help our onboarding of our new employees, or just the straightforward use cases, because not only does that give us the credibility, but it also allows us to experience firsthand what some of those governance challenges were. And not to go into too much detail, but it was a little bit of a struggle. Within our own organization, who's responsible for AI? Who's responsible for ensuring that, data privacy is maintained, that use of ChatGPT doesn't get out of control? And I think that's really, really important. I think the second thing, not to go on too long, is that with our legacy of being policemen for our clients in many senses, risk control matrices and things like that, we were able to sort of enhance this for the world of AI. We work with so many organizations in regulated sectors about how do you make sure models, for example, are fit for regulators and do not create commercial or legal exposure. It's not a huge leap to expand that for the world of AI. We're not changing anything, but we're using that sort of pedigree and lessons learned over many years to take it to the next level.
Super clear. Back to you, Richard. I'm keen to come back on this big hype we are seeing, and as you mentioned, and as our CEO mentioned this morning, almost every company now needs to claim that they are AI, GenAI driven, for the goods and for the bads, because we are discussing with a lot of teams, a lot of customers who are being mandated by their C-levels to be into this race of getting a use case, getting a GenAI use case. And my question is, how at Databricks you drive your customers and you support your customers to really try to focus on not only the technology and not only on the beauty of having a GenAI use case with no ability to get the value, to get the ROI? How do you react to that to make sure they are burning calories in the right field, which is not easy?
Indeed, especially working for such a techie company like Databricks, where all of our co-founders, built projects like Apache Spark when working in the AMP lab at Berkeley, and just love the technology piece. But I think for us, the biggest danger we see are when customers come to us all excited about the technology and want to rush to using the technology, and they're not thinking enough about the people and process. And the customers of ours that have actually had unlocked the most value the fastest are the ones that have actually gone slower to go faster and have spent time to take into consideration people, process, technology, and governance to ensure they're successful. And when they've taken that longer approach, or what feels like a longer approach, they've been able to go a lot faster. If you make sure that you set up the right governance rules, for example, within our platform, to make sure that you set up the right access controls of which users have the ability to access which data, then all of a sudden the business will allow you to move a lot faster rather than having to get approval every time you want to use certain data for a new GenAI use case. So for us, looking at the people side, getting the right skills, getting the right training in place, the process side, governance. Well, it feels like it takes a bit of extra time working with our partners like KPMG on that, but it will enable you to go a lot faster. In my eyes, the technology, to be honest, is the easy part. You've got technology like Databricks and Dataiku that, top right-hand corner of the magic quadrant. That selection is easy. It's the people and process and making sure that you're not trying to take shortcuts. Otherwise it will take longer. I was looking at the Burj Khalifa this morning, and if you're rushing to build the tower and you don't get the right foundations, you'll get halfway up building the tower and it'll fall over in the sand. And I think it's exactly the same with the race to GenAI. You've got to get the right foundations in place, not just getting the right data and the right data platform in place, but looking at the people, process, and governance as well.
Thanks, Richard. And Nader, I'm sure there are a lot of things that Richard mentioned that are music to your ear, and I'm sure your teams are also facing this clients, customer famous question, which is give me use cases, show me use cases. So how you and your teams are reacting to that?
Yeah, we hear that quite often of clients saying, I want use cases, show me what you got. And this is their way of testing whether or not we actually know what we're doing. So it's a great sales pitch, and maybe sometimes you can throw something on the wall and see what sticks. But back to what Richard was saying is we're not a fan of taking that approach. We much rather take a step back and help them and sit with the CXO to understand what their business pain is and figure out what their KPIs and OKRs are and how we can translate that into business value. And what we realized very quickly is that with the technology that GenAI currently has in place, coming up with use cases is not the tough part anymore. There are so many tools in place that can help you take ideation in and turn it into reality and convert that into a potential use case and back to the LLM mesh and have that Python code extracted and make it a reality. So that tends to happen very quickly. Now, if taking a step back and circling back to what the guys have been talking about in taking people and technology and making sure that you have that right ecosystem in place from strategy to execution and putting in the right framework to make sure that you're able to translate that into business value. So a lot of times you'll leverage the Dataikus of the world and democratize the data and have that citizen developer working along with IT to help them with that end-to-end story. So then you're creating that true business value and creating a tangible use case that can actually come up with something.
Yeah, and indeed, I mean, being or becoming an AI-driven company means much more than only creating use cases. It most of the time requires a deep transformation on how the organization is operating, and it's back to the introduction Phil, our CRO, made about jumping into the internet, into the cloud. It's a much deeper change. And there are also some other change that our customers and prospect needs to have in mind with almost every month, a new model, a new solution being announced. There is one question that is more and more being asked by our customers. It's how in this configuration we make the intellectual property of the company with all these models being in place and companies using different models for different purpose. And that's a topic we are also addressing with our customers and partners. And taking some distance with that, Martin, what role do you see your company playing in the responsible AI field, which is something where we put a lot of different things, but keen to hear your perspective about that.
Yeah, and it's a big topic, right? And it's a risk of pouring cold water on things, and you know, we're fortunate to be in this region where actually the stance of the regulators or the leaders in the country is innovation first. But at the same time, I'm seeing in some ways hesitance or even paralysis in our clients, because we have the first problem of where do we get started? Maybe we've been mandated to have an AI strategy because we're nervous about losing competitive edge, or to Nader's point, give us some use cases, you know, let's go. And then we have the specter of what about all these new risks and new words that we didn't have, like hallucinations and bias, and you know, can we really trust what's coming out? So to answer the question, I think that stepping back and presenting frameworks can really help here. We've developed one, and it has a lot in common with the frameworks emerging around the world, informed by some of the regulations. It's just going through the things that you would have with advanced analytics or other data products. Do we understand the data that's going into the model? Is it of sufficient quality? Do we have a process in place to monitor effectiveness? What do we do when results degrade? And who's on the hook for how this gets translated into outcomes? Because the key is not, you know, slowing down and stopping and waiting for the regulator to have a point of view, or waiting for, goodness, I hope we don't get an equivalent EU AI Act here in the UAE or anything like that. But let's not wait, but let's go forward with our eyes open, consider the risks, have a position on how to solve against those risks, but continue to innovate. Because no one is going to wait around. And I think the ones who are really going to capture the value are the ones that try things out with their eyes open.
Thanks, Mathilde. And Nader, I'm happy to close this roundtable with you with an even more local flavor of the conversation. We see outside of private organizations jumping into this AI, GenAI topic. We do see a growing number also of government-led initiatives, not only in the UAE, but in the whole region. How is your company supporting such momentum?
Yeah, thanks, Sofiane. I think we are fortunate enough to be in the right area. The Middle East is investing in AI like there's no tomorrow. I think my colleagues will definitely agree with me here that between being the first to have the Ministry of AI in place in UAE, they have a strategy, a clear AI strategy for 2031 in the UAE. And Saudi is also investing very heavily, created Sadaya, and Sadaya put together a lot of frameworks, to Matan's point, about NDMO, National Data Management Office, and DAI. And these KPIs are being monitored on a quarterly basis with government entities being mandated to make sure that their P1, P2, P3 is there and in place. And we've invested heavily in making sure that we can help clients in making they can adhere to these KPIs and follow the frameworks that are actually in place for them to be at the forefront. They were talking about conference calls, but I remember NVIDIA in their conference call saying that there are state-owned LLMs that are being built, to your point about Falcon and Prada, and government initiatives that are happening that are requiring GPUs. So that investment isn't just from the hyperscalers anymore. It's nationwide LLMs that are being built, state LLMs, and that's what's taking the region to the next level. And what we're doing at Code81 is we're helping them bridge that gap with the people to make sure that they have that consultancy services to help them, again, from strategy to execution, to make sure that they adhere to those frameworks and take them, again, more importantly, through that journey, because it is an always evolving journey.
Thank you. Thank you to the three of you, Richard, Nader, Matin. Real pleasure having you and great opportunity to hear from you in front of this audience. So please join me thanking them, and I'm sure you'll have the opportunity to connect with them after the session. Thank you again.